All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Almost evening. Thank you for all of you who've joined us so far for the discussion we're going to have new homes at Cityscape. I appreciate you all being here, either virtually for those of you who've joined us in person, because this is an investment of your time into your neighborhood. You could be doing whatever else you wanted during your free time. You could be home relaxing, going out for dinner, whatever the case may be, but you've chosen to come here, and we appreciate that. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We have a packed agenda that's going to take us about an hour. And let's just go ahead and do our intros right off the bat. To join us to kick off, we're going to start with Assistant Director of HCDD, Ray Miller, to talk a little bit about this project. Ray?
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that little technical issues. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to be presenting some preliminary scope of this particular project, which has been the culmination of several months' work with the housing department, with the ultimate goal to use our funds and proceeds to bring, housing opportunities within the Sunnyside area. We are excited because this is not something we are do often. Usually we're at the end of this project. We are here in the beginning of this project. We are here engaging with you, and we are excited to get your feedback on what you think and feel about bringing homes into this community. So we thank you for your time. We'll make sure we'll be mindful, but we have a lot of great information to present to you, and we're going to take a lot of time to get your feedback and prepare a scope, which we believe we're going to be building a neighborhood which you're going to be proud to show. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremiah, who's going to give us the rules of the road for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And before I do that, I'm actually going to call a representative from Councilmember Evan Shabazz's office to talk a little bit more about this from her perspective. Stephen, please join us up here and let us take it away from here.
Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Stephen James, Director of Constituent Services for District D, the Office of Councilmember Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz. She would be here today, but right now she's traveling from Monrovia, creating a sister city agreement with that city for commerce and other exports. But anyway, thank you for being here. This is a unique opportunity for the community to be involved at the beginning of the development of this new community. Please participate in the process. We are excited that our friends in the Housing and Community Development Department for the City of Houston are inviting us, the community, and others to share in this process. I'm looking forward to pointing out about a new community and how they prepare for kids, how they prepare for our seniors, what things are going to be in place for the quality of life for the whole community. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for having this wonderful event, and I look forward to participating.
Thank you for that. And that was a great way to kick it off, which now we're going to go ahead and go through some slides. And I promise you, we're not going to spend this entire time talking to you. We're here to hear your feedback as well. So just to kick off, what we're looking at on this screen, and again, this is virtual and in person, so I will reference that throughout. So you may hear me referencing things that I'm pointing to in person, and I promise I'll let you all know when I'm doing that for those of you who are joining us virtually. What we're looking at here is a slide of the HCDD team that's part of this community engagement process. So for those of you in person, all of these smiling photos of us, if you have any questions after this, you can talk to any one of us. It's a large effort to bring a development of this size, so it takes a strong team. And let's just go ahead and go into the housekeeping. For those of you that are joining us online, please keep your microphones muted through the presentation portion. In the back half, you all get some specific instructions on how to participate in our facilitated conversation, where we'll hear your feedback on what you've heard so far. For everyone in person and attending virtually, this is being recorded, and we plan on posting this back up on our landing page, which we'll have a link to later, in 2 to 3 business days. For those of you that are online, you can use the chat box to enter your questions. one of our team members has a laptop in front of them, and they'll respond as best they can. For those of you that are here in person, you'll see some sticky notes in front of you. If any questions pop up, feel free to write them down, and that will be part of our later discussion. And all this information, again, is going to be posted to our landing page, which is New Homes for Cityscape. There's a URL for that, the actual web link a little bit later. And again, this presentation will be something that we send out to all of you. So for those of you that are here in person that have used the sign-in sheet, if you gave us your email address, we're going to send you this recording, this presentation deck as well, and the link to this website. For those of you that are joining us online, if you use the registration page, we'll also send you that information. If you didn't use that, please put your email into the chat box so we can capture that and get you this information when it's been edited and streamlined. So that's all the housekeeping. Let's talk about the actual reason why all of you are here today. Let's talk about our agenda first. We're going to go over 4 key items, which I promise to go by quicker than the number suggests. We're going to talk a little bit about the project background so that we all have a little bit of an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. Then we'll talk about this community engagement piece, which all of you are here today are currently a part of. And then we'll talk about some key design questions that will help us inform the development process at Cityscape. And then we're going to go into breakout groups, and that's when we're going to hear from you and take back, that'll be the first stage of taking your feedback and making it part of what will become a future community at Cityscape. So our project background, this development is funded under the Harvey Single Family Development Program. There's 3 key aims here shown here on this slide. The first and foremost is to create new home ownership opportunities for Houstonians. But we want to make sure that those home opportunities we're creating are meeting the community need. And finally, again, these are all intermixed. This isn't just 1 or 2 or 3, it's all combined. These new homes that meet community needs need to be attainable for folks making a variety of incomes. So that's the philosophy behind this particular program. And over the next few slides, we're going to talk very briefly about the need for new attainable homes in the city of Houston. I think this is something we've all heard in the news at one point or another over the last couple of years. But I think this slide is one of a few that we're going to show you that really brings home that urgency for new construction of attainable homes. So in this slide, what we're looking at here is the average sales price for single-family homes sold in the Houston metro area over the last 12 months. And you can see on this slide, home prices have increased on average of 11.4%. And it's not much different when you look at the median sales price. Over the last 12 months, the median sales price in the city of Houston for a single-family home has gone up 15.5%. And we all kind of, I think, have an understanding that home prices have just gone up. And on top of that, we're also seeing that home sales themselves are not going down. That has not slowed. So we're in a situation, as you can see here, and combining with the prior 2 slides, where home affordability and attainability is getting away from so many folks in the city. We know prices are going up. We know the stock is going down or is not increasing. And we also know that, and I can tell you this myself, that our incomes are not matching that median price, right? So home prices are going up. My income ain't matching that. And all of our other bills are going up. So we need to make sure as a city that we are doing what we can to be responsive to the community needs and to the need out here for attainable homes throughout the city. So that's the 10,000 foot view of what's going on, not only in Houston, but across the country. So let's bring it back to Cityscape. So this is a picture, a screenshot of our website on the right. And then forgive my amateur photography of a manhole cover here. That's not part of what I got interviewed for. But Cityscape itself, the site, is almost 15 acres, 14.9 acres. It's along, as you can see on this picture, Highway 288 in East Orem, and just below that, well, if you go below in terms of what that picture looks like, the other side would be Alameda Genoa. And we are projecting up to 240 homes. And I just want to take a pause there. This is all preliminary. This is all draft numbers. That's a maximum number. As we go through our due diligence process, that number is going to change, but it will not increase over that. And we're projecting based off that up to number, and I'm going to keep saying that again, up to. Please do not ask me in a month why it's not 240. This is all projection. We're projecting up to 122 attainable homes. And we're going to talk about what that means specifically in just a few slides. So our development process, what brought us here together in this room, in person and virtually, the program staff, all of our smiling pictures, we went on an intensive scouting throughout the city of Houston, looking for large tracts of land, 7 to 10 acres and above, sites that would support at least 150 new single-family home ownership opportunities, and also had some other factors we had to look at. For example, the site had to actually be for sale, right? So if the owner did not want to sell, we could not buy. It could not be in a floodplain or a 100-year floodway or any other major environmental issues. So we looked all throughout the city of Houston, and we found a couple of sites, including this one, that we thought would be a great location for a brand new community. And so we went through our internal processes that we have to do at the city, and now we're here at step 2, gathering your feedback. We started doing that earlier this month, and we're going to continue to do that through the end of May. And we're going to talk about how we're collecting that feedback shortly. What we're going to do with that feedback is the most important thing. We're going to collect it, summarize it, and we're going to include it in item number 3, which is called a Notice of Funding of Availability, or NOFA for short. So what this document does is it basically sets the playbook, the rule book for developers to respond to. So your feedback will go directly into this document, and as part of a scoring criteria for developers for their proposals, they will have to respond to your feedback. So whatever we hear from you, starting again in March through May 31st, will go into this document, and that's going to be explicitly a certain amount of evaluation criteria. And so that's going to be an open competition for all developers to respond to, and that's going to be out for about 3 months. And at that point, we're going to be in October 2022, and we'll select a developer. And that developer will go through the process that they'll need to do to build and construct new homes. And those homes will be made available for sale at the end of 2023 through 2024. So I do want to note, the further out into the future, there's more variability. Please take a note of that note that says all dates subject to change. We will continuously keep the community involved through our email blasts and through our websites, but this is our timeline as of now. And so giant draft letters, this is a very preliminary site plan for what the development could look like. And I'm couching this because I want to make sure we all have an understanding that this is all potential. Developers will submit their own design plan. But just to kind of get your creative juices flowing for when we get your feedback, this is one of many possibilities for Cityscape. And now I want to talk about the homebuyer process, which is the most exciting process. So picture 2 years from now, the homes are for sale. You go on hard.com, you're working with a realtor, you're excited to buy a home. This is a very 10,000 foot nutshell of how this process will work. So all homes will be listed at whatever the market rate price is in 2.5 to 3 years. And for 49% of those homes, they will be sold at market rate. And you will do the traditional homebuyer process as reflected on those kind of top arrows. So you as a homebuyer will work with a realtor, you'll get a fixed rate mortgage through a lender, and you'll just go through that entire complicated process of buying a home. So for the 51% of those homes, we're using the term attainable rate. And with that, you'll also secure a fixed rate mortgage, whatever that mortgage is from whatever lender you choose. If you were Harvey impacted, which in this case means if you lived in the city of Houston when Hurricane Harvey hit, you are Harvey impacted. And you earn up to 80% area median income. And that number is set by HUD every year. And we'll have some examples of what that means. You are eligible for down payment assistance of up to $135,000 towards the purchase of that home. You'll have to put a 5-year secondary lien on that home, but otherwise you will continue the traditional home buyer process. That down payment assistance is intended to close what is called the affordability gap. And what that means for our presentation, it is the gap between the mortgage that you are, the fixed rate mortgage you're able to secure, and the price difference between whatever the market rate price is at that point in time. So you may not need all $135,000 to secure that affordability gap, but that will be there for you if you hit all these other income eligibility requirements. So let's talk about what 80% area median income is and go through some theoretical homebuyer profiles. I try to do some examples that I think we could all, if it's not us, maybe we lived through it in the past, or maybe we know some folks that are going through this now. So this example is what we call the young couple. They're married in their mid-20s. They just finished school and they have an infant. By school, I mean one has a bachelor's degree, one has an associate's degree. So they are ready to get started on their life journey. But because they just recently graduated, they took their time going through college because, again, college is also pretty expensive nowadays. They're in their mid-20s. They're just starting off. And so these dollar figures we're looking at here are kind of the 10% area income. I'm sorry, the 10% kind of lower end of what these careers will make here in the city of Houston. And so they're just starting off. One's an admin assistant at a nonprofit organization. Another is literally just starting off as a firefighter, and that's what their salaries are right now. And at 80% area median income for a 3-person household, because it is the married couple and the child, that is right now $57,000, $57,050. That's going to go up every year as determined by HUD. So in about a month or two, HUD's going to release their updated figures for this year. So that's going to be whatever that figure is for when these homes go on sale. But this is just to give you some guidance on what this will look like. And just one more home profile example. This is what I call the full house. I'm talking about the original show. I didn't watch the reboot on Netflix. I'm a little bit older. So in this example, we have a nuclear family. So 2 parents, 2 kids. We also have an uncle that's living in the house. That uncle is a 100% disabled military veteran. So right now, that's $39,984 that uncle is getting yearly. We have one parent that's an inspector, and that's the median value for an inspector in the city of Houston, metro area, I should say. And we got one stay-home parent because we've got 2 young children that take a lot of energy to raise. For this household of 5 people, again, the nuclear family and the uncle, your 80% area median income is $83,650. So this family would also qualify under the Harvey Single Family Development Program because they lived in the city of Houston and they hit all these income eligibility requirements. Now, households have a billion configurations. So these are just 2 examples. It doesn't have to be these examples. You could be a household of 1, it could be a household of 8 or above. But these are just some examples to kind of flesh out what this means. So I want to take it back to, that was 2 years in the future. I want to bring it back to today, to our stakeholder engagement process. And all of you that are here in person and all of you that have joined us online are stakeholders in this process. So we had just to kick off a community leaders focus group with the council member and some other community leaders in March to let them know about this engagement. And we asked them to help advertise all of these in-person events that we're having. And right now we are out in the general public. We're here to listen to you. And that's going through May 31st. Both in these kind of sessions, we have 2 more of these, and through our online free tool, Social Pinpoint, which we're going to demonstrate a little bit later. And then we're going to come back out into the community and summarize and tell you everything that we heard late July, early August. So we're going to take all your feedback, and our first priority is going to be to put it into that NOFA, and then we're going to come back out here in the same format and tell you this is what we heard, and this is how it is spelled out in the NOFA, and we'll print out just those 2 pages because it's a very boring document that's going to be about 80. But we'll show you exactly how your feedback has led to that scoring criteria. So I know I've been talking at you all a lot. I promise I'm winding down and we're going to start hearing from you. Just want to wind up and end up with the community engagement to talk about that. I've already mentioned the comment period that we're in our in-person meetings and virtual tools that we're going to have. If you have ideas of where we could put signage and flyers, let us know in the chat. We're here in person because we're still trying to get as many people involved in these meetings as possible. And so we need your help to tell us where those that a banner like that can go, businesses that are willing to handle those flyers, because you are the residents of this community. You know where the best places to put these things are, and I don't. So I openly admit that. So the Social Pinpoint tool is a 24/7 virtual free tool You can share it with your friends and family. In fact, we highly encourage you to do so. We're going to have a demonstration of that in just a second. There's bilingual options, and there's a map, survey, and a ideas wall tool, which we're going to show you in just a second. Here's a screenshot of this in a different part of Houston. This is that map tool I mentioned. Here's a picture of that ideas wall, which is kind of very similar to Facebook. So there's social components. You can leave your feedback there, or you can look at what feedback already exists and give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Again, the idea is to see what's popular in the neighborhood. And so if someone's already written down what you're going to write down, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Or if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. So these are the key questions we're asking all of you to help us think through for the NOFA. First is design and context. So specifically, what characteristics give a home their feel? Think about things like trees and colors. As you drive through the city of Houston, the near north side has way different colors than the neighborhood across the street from Cityscape Avenue, right? So all of those sort of things that make a home, the outside, things like trees, are the trees older? Do they have a lot of leaves? All those sort of little design things that sometimes you don't really think about, at least I should say I don't. Those are things you want to hear about. What are important to you? So what makes a house or home feel like it's part of the community where it's sitting? The other thing we're going to ask you about is density and good design. So I mentioned, on those slides that the stock of attainable homes is low in Houston. I think that's something we all know. So how can we make this site dense? And because land is scarce, right? So how can we put the appropriate amount of units? What can we do to make it livable for everyone? So how do we make denser developments like townhomes and condos feel like they belong and they should be part of that neighborhood? But we also know it's not about just the homes, the four walls that you live in when you come home from work. It's how do you get around within the new neighborhood and get to other community amenities? So the other thing we want to hear about is designing for connection, making sure you're able to access important neighborhood assets. And on top of that, communal space. So we're talking about developing a brand new community. And community has a lot of definitions. That's a very value-laden word. But community in terms of bringing people together with that green common space, right? And that can take the shape of a million different things. And so what's important to you? Not just the green space, the kind of the parkish type area, but even in between the homes themselves. What are the things that you value that can help make this a community? And so I promised that was the end of me presenting and talking at you. And we're about to get into the point where we're going to hear from you. We're going to do some breakout sessions here in person, and we're going to have our consultant, Asakira Robinson, who's also online. They're going to help walk you through a virtual component of this. Before we do that, for those of you joining online, you're going to be using a Google tool called Jamboard to get your feedback in real time. This is a screenshot of what it looks like. And before we do that, before we go to the social pinpoint, and before we go out into the breakout sessions, again, please spread the word about these meetings. It's our intention to be as inclusive as possible, but we need all of you to help get the word out. Again, we're going to send this PowerPoint presentation to you, but here's the link to the landing page. I highly recommend you visit the landing page, bookmark it, because that's where we're going to be running all of our updates. When we learn something new, we're going to update this website. And if you want to email any of our smiling faces on slides 2 and 3, this is how you can do it. Our email address is hsfdp@houstontx.gov, and that is all of us have access to that mailbox. And so if there are questions you think of, because if you're like me, I always leave a meeting. 2 minutes later, I have a million great questions, but the meeting's over. This is one where you can get a hold of us as well. So I'm just going to pull up the social pinpoint site. So bear with me as I do that, as I navigate and move some pages around. So I'm looking straight ahead, and for those of you online, I'm looking straight ahead, but the screen is behind me, so apologies. What we're looking at here is the landing page that I mentioned, New Homes for Cityscape. And so one feature we have is an email list. I highly recommend, if you're interested in this, you subscribe, because we'll also send email blasts as the development timeline moves forward. There's information about the project that we talked about, as well as this map. And down here, these are our meetings. So we're going to have 2 more of these meetings, and the third one will be back here at Houston Community College South Campus, and our in-between meeting will be at Jones Memorial Church, all times 5:30 to 6:30, and they will all have the same virtual options for those of you that feel more comfortable attending meetings virtually. But this is where you can access our social pinpoint tool. And so I'm going to click that just to show you what it looks like and do a quick demonstration. So here's our site. You can see up here on the left where I'm highlighting things, there's some introductory language in English, and then the Spanish version as well. So it's very simple, straightforward to use. So these are 3 separate icons. I'm moving my mouse over slowly. All you have to do to leave us your comment is I'm going to say gather and reunion here, right? I'm just clicking and slowly dragging it. I'm going to drop it wherever. Drop it wherever it's appropriate. So if you're going to give an example of, say, a park that you like, drop it at that park. You can get this box, and you can tell us whatever you want. Like, I'm going to say, Jeremiah should get a raise. Right? And so you'll have to put your email address, and that's to make sure there isn't a spam, robots. But provide your email address. If you're using the mobile version where you have a picture of what you want us to look at, you can attach that as well. You'll click on this box that says, I agree my comment will be used. I'm not going to actually submit this. But when you hit add comment, it's going to bring up, I think that someone has to comment here already, right? So you can click on that. And we're not editing these comments. These are comments left by people. You can see you have a like and dislike button. Someone left this 10 days ago. You can also share on your Facebook and Twitter page. And that's it. So even if you want to just take a look out periodically and see what people are saying, you can participate by liking and disliking. We also have a quick survey where you can leave fuller information, fuller detailed answers. That's in English and Spanish as well. And on this question, if we've heard this feedback already a lot about folks wanting an HOA. If you're interested in HOA, let us know, and that's something we can put into the NOFA. If you hit yes on that, you'll get a 4th question where you can tell us about the features you'd like to have in that HOA. And finally, the ideas wall. You'll have to click a separate link, and it's going to pull up a separate page that's loading, but it's another option for giving us your feedback. And so all you have to do here is click any one of these boxes. What's your dream for the site? Make a comment, or just your general questions. I'm going to say make a comment. And it's the same kind of little box here, right? So whatever comment you want to make, you can go ahead and do that. And you can also like and dislike comments that are made there. So that's a quick run through of the social pinpoint tool. And I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hand it. We're going to, here in person, we're going to have a breakout session. We're all going to, I think, congregate. I'm going to say over here, because I think there's enough people where we can have the conversation over here. And for those of you online, I'm going to stay on just for a minute while we have Asakir Robinson take over the screen and bring up the Google Jamboard. Before we end, though, again, please share this information. If you haven't given us your email address, for those of you who have attended online, please put that in the chat so we can send you this presentation, so we can send you this recording and spread the word. And we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you to those of you joining online. I'm going to mute myself and hand it over to Asakir Robinson to take over the online facilitation.
All right, thanks, Jeremiah. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, cool. So again, thanks for everyone joining us tonight. So my name is Wei Xiao.
So Asakir Robinson's going to do this exercise that we're going to do over here. So I can have all of you all come over here, and we're going to start, and we're going to hear your feedback on what you want to hear with Cityscape.
Great. So my name is Wei Xiao with Asakir Robinson, and I'll be your facilitator for the rest of the time together. So my colleague Niharika is also joining us in the chat room. Niharika, if you want to say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody. This is Niharika here.
Cool. So we are going to have a facilitated conversation through Google Jamboard, which is the one that I put up on the screen, about the features you'd like to see for this development. So The rule for the discussion, so you will have two ways to participate, either through the chat or by using the raise hand icon. So if you want to use the raise hand icon, well, we will call on yourself to mute yourself to share your idea or agree with idea already on the Jamboard or add on to a idea that is already on the Jamboard. And you can also use the chat function to provide ideas or give support to ideas already given. So if you do have any further questions about the development beyond the topics we're discussing tonight, you can reach out to HCDD team, and Hierarchy will be sharing the email in the chat in a minute. So the summarized feedback will be incorporated into the notice of funding availability for developers to respond to. So this will not be the only item developers will adjust in the proposal, but will be a very significant component. So the more specific the feedback, the clearer the city can be on the notice of funding availability. So, and as you are answering your questions, just think about what makes this important to me. So I guess we're going to spend about 10 minutes per topic. But remember, the city has 2 more community meetings, so you can always leave your feedback on Social Pinpoint, as Jeremiah shared earlier, through May 31st. So that's before I started. Any questions? Sorry, let me pull this up just in case anyone raises their hand. Okay, let's start with the first one. So, the first question we want to ask is what makes a house or home feel like it's part of the community? So, just think through the identities we want to see for the development in Cityscape. As Jeremiah mentioned, it could be the color of the building, or the look of the building, or a tree, or any other features that you can think of. So, I'll be using the sticky note to put into your comments on the Jamboard. You can either raise your hand or just type your answer in the chat. This is your time. Okay, someone typed landscaping. I love that. All right, sidewalk, fencing, garage. Any other thoughts? Or even you can think about like the bedrooms or like interior space. It doesn't have to be exterior or the building. Great. Front and backyard. You see, open kitchen. I love that. Garden. Soaking tub. That would be fantastic. Windows for natural light. Energy efficiency. Thank you. If anyone wants to talk, feel free to raise your hand.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Given that the site is pretty close to, or at least adjacent to Highway 288, has road noise been considered in the design of the community?
Sure. Yeah, that was part of the design. So we do have acoustic guys. So sorry, we are a consultant firm working on the design for this project for the preliminary process, and we do have a acoustic guy working on that and really identify the noise impact to the site. And we do have some strategies in the preliminary package. So that's being considered for sure. Yes, sound wall. Any thoughts on the bedroom types? 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom. Okay, I see someone type safe and secure. Okay, someone mentioned about the fine. I'll put it as one of the concerns here. I see Olivia is typing. As far as the color of the building, is there any good example that we can learn from or get from in the nearby neighborhood? Full colors. What about the trees? How do people think about the trees or green space?
Another question would be, how should green space be used? Question would be, parks, communal spaces. I'm curious what this group thinks. How would a green space be used in a neighborhood like this?
Yeah, if anyone wants to talk, feel free to raise your hand. Community park with facilities for all age groups, like that. Right. We got another comment about safety. Sorry, I kept clicking on the wrong icon. Any other more comments before we move on to the next one? Someone made a comment, although called Cityscape, this is actually on the Sunnyside side. So the site is actually next to Cityscape Avenue. That's why we've been calling that Cityscape. Strong HOV or Civic Club. Yes. Sorry, HOA. So since we're talking about HOA, we also put this as one of the questions in the survey. For the HOA, I guess like what kind of rules people are expecting to see. It can be like very general. All right, we got one comment on HOA. Okay, I think we are about the time to move on to the next topic. Any final comments you want to put in? Okay, let's go to the next one. So in this question, so we want to ask, how can we make slightly denser development like townhome feel like they belong? So also, it's kind of a continued discussion from the previous one. What kind of features or, some townhomes you've been seeing in Houston area that you think would be a good fit for the cityscape side? You can just think of and recommend to us. Do you think they should be one color or different colors? Do you think they should have porch or balcony or some other features? Great, front porches. Various colors that are cohesive. Any other thoughts or comments? What about the stories? What about the windows? No more than 3 stories with windows. So I think that's Vendra. Can you, sorry, that's Carlos. Can you elaborate on why no more than 3 stories?
I think as you get taller, it begins to look more congested and more of a metropolitan, less homely feel.
Mix of 1 to 3 story floor plans. What about the garage? 1 to 2 cars. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. That's sweet. All right, guys. Any more thoughts or comments? Alisa, I see you have some agreement here. I guess do you wanna unmute yourself and just speak out if that's easier?
Sure, but I'm out at my grandson's baseball game. Yeah, no, I've lived in the community since 2018. I work in the medical center. Since I've lived in, they have built $400,000 homes in the community, which is fine. They've also put in low income housing and an RV park. The rate that the communities are growing over there and the traffic is awful. People run stop signs almost every day. There's been bad accidents. The crime in our neighborhoods is up. They want to open up the street coming from 288 and go all the way down to Scott Road. Every night we have break-ins, catalytic converters getting stolen, and it's, putting in these houses. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. Our taxes keep going up, and great idea. But then, how is somebody on $50,000 going to afford even a $400,000 house with all these great energy efficient windows and trees and yards and garages and garden bathtubs? $400,000 minus $135,000 is still $265,000. So either you guys are lying and saying, "Oh, we're going to give these to firefighters and these low income families," but then you're calling it a Sunnyside project. You're calling it a Harvey re-establishment project. I don't believe the numbers. I don't believe the idea. I don't believe that you guys are being honest with the community and the citizens. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you guys want to put this somewhere, why did it get turned down in the Heights? Because those people did not want it in their neighborhood. We don't want the extra traffic. We don't want the extra taxes. We don't want our tax dollars going to them. My taxes are crazy, and they're only going to go up. So if you guys want it, put it in your neighborhood. We don't want it.
Okay, thanks, Alisa. I see. Okay. Anyways, yeah, thank you for your comment. We'll definitely take it and we'll discuss internally. All right, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, I just want to know, Alyssa, we hear your comments. We hear the concerns about, what this is going to be for you and your community. But I do want to address, we're not just in your neighborhood, we're going all throughout the city, providing investments to bring affordable homes there. We're going into Westwood, right in the Westwood subdivision, buying several acres there to doing the same project. We're going into near Northside. To provide, and the reason we're doing this is because we, just as Jeremiah talked about when, beginning of the program, the need is there. We understand the concern about, the traffic and the crime, that is happening within your neighborhoods and everywhere else. We're working closely with all of our partners, throughout the city. But, one thing we cannot, cure all ills, with this particular development. But what we're trying to do tonight is finding ways when this does come around that we are making sure that this is going to be a safe community, that is going to be intact. And this is why we want the input that when we're designing and building this now, how are we doing this in a way that's going to protect the residents, the household? If you have concerns about traffic, where are those congestion points that you're concerned about? We want to account for those while we're doing these designs. And that's what we want to make sure that we capture from you tonight, and going forward. And when we bring this community around, that is going to be something that's going to be, helpful for everyone. You can, take this for what it's worth. We are not hiding anything. We're putting everything out there. We are not doing anything that we feel like is going to be cost prohibitive to anybody who's going to be participating in this program. And you're asking, why are we doing it? Because it's needed, and now more than ever. So it's going to be imperative of us to make sure that we're doing this within a way that, that's capturing your comments and cause, the least amount of disturbance within this community. We wanted to be part of this community, and that's what we want to get from you tonight.
Yeah, but for the last 2 years, we've had to listen to construction on the other side of Herman every morning, every day, 7 days a week. And now we're going to have to listen to construction on the other side of our community off of Cityscape for what, another 2 years? I just, there's spaces off of Reed Road. There's spaces on the other side of 288. There's this little tiny Cityscape Drive is not big enough to put 240 houses and times at least 3 people per house. So there's over 900 people in that tiny little area. I mean, you guys are city planners. You have the number in the road statistic of the traffic that drives down those streets every day. You can get the accidents. You can get the traffic stop. That's all public information. So, I mean, do you see why it just kind of sounds funny?
Okay. Well, no, thank you for the comments. I think we need to keep moving forward. Make sure that you're sending the comments into us so we can capture them and we can keep moving. So.
Yes, let's do that. Thanks, Alyssa, for the comments. We've already shared the email in the chat, so feel free to email your comments to that email. So the third question the third topic we want to talk about is the green space. We want to get to know more about what kind of features you are looking for those green spaces. Maybe you can think of the neighborhood park you really liked in your neighborhood, or maybe a playground in a school, or a park you've been doing like gathering or celebrating your birthday, etc. Just want to get some idea from folks.
I would like to see like a community center, small community center with the park splash pad, maybe a small park, sidewalks from the neighborhood leading to that.
Okay, community center. What else? Sorry.
With like the attached splash pad or park, maybe dog park.
Any features folks like to see? Like table, benches, picnic table, shade structure, shade tree, shaded cover over play equipment. Thank you. Speaking about shaded cover, do you prefer like shaded tree or shaded structure? I guess I'll throw some hints here. So if you have ever celebrated your birthday or have fun with your friends in the park, I think what would you need for that, or what did you have for that? Picnic style tables. Love that. What about art? Do people want to see art in the green spaces? What about plants? What types of plants in the green space you would like to see? Right, I guess we can move on to the last topic for tonight. So in the last one, we really want to talk about building the connectivity into those developments. I think we've been hearing about the safety. So I guess like to improve the safety for walking, biking, what kind of things or what kind of features we need to consider in this design for development, and also for people, accessing to the existing assets in the neighborhood. Sidewalks for sure, tinted crosswalk, safety signage. Can you elaborate on the safety signage? Is it stop sign or speed limit or any other things you're thinking about? Someone mentioned Amita, Ray Foreland, Boulevard. Stop signs is at play. Speed bumps, like that. What about lighting? Any more comments, thoughts? What about the public transit, as we're showing in the picture? Do people feel there is a good bus system in the neighborhood? And also, those stops are having good features like shelters, etc. Any more comments? Hey, Jeremiah, are you still there? Okay, maybe he's facilitating the in-person meeting. Olivia, are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was calling Olivia. I know you're there. Okay, well, I guess they are facilitating an in-person meeting. Ray, do you have anything to say before we wrap up?
No, I thank you everyone for your participation and your involvement tonight. These comments we're going to go take these back. We're going to incorporate these directly into, the solicitation and the design of this, of this development. And at the end of the day, this is still not the end of this. This is still the beginning. We still have the social pinpoint site up at all times. Please continue to engage. If you're driving down the street and you see some features you would like to see in this development, take that opportunity, take the picture, make a comment, put it up on the website, and we will take this information and use it to design something that we're all going to be proud of at the end of the day. So I really appreciate you taking some time with us this evening so we can capture these. And but like I said, this is not the end of the process. This is just the beginning. So please continue to stay engaged as we continue to do these going forward.
If I could just add a quick comment.
Sure.
Yeah. One thing I would suggest, and maybe you all have this in your strategy or in your plan, and that is to look at some of the evils that exist in other maybe similar type projects, so that we can maybe not repeat the same mistakes and kind of learn and implement new strategies in this project.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I think would be helpful if you could identify other projects that have been built that would be similar or that are similar to the way you envision this project, so that we could kind of maybe some of us could kind of take a look at that and see how this would work out. Because I think Elisa raised some very good, compelling concerns, and that in order to vet them thoroughly and to make sure that we're just not billing a repeat of ills in the past, I think it would be helpful to at least examine that piece of the puzzle, so that at the end, you're right, we're not just building another complex that's full of evils, not evil, but full of issues and concerns that were from the past.
I hear no. We heard you loud and clear. We're not in this to recreate problematic problems that where other neighborhoods have seen. And if there's anything specific regarding to that, whether it's hey, they did a bad job of designing, the entrances and exits of this particular subdivision because, I can't get out at peak hours. Or if it's more detailed regarding the home designs, like, look, these are just this is not what we envisioned, or even the financing. Look, the home prices, that you were touting on here are, if it's not attainable, or if the home, the rising interest rate environments. And she brought a good point of the HOA fees. How are they going to afford them? Well, that's a good thing that we're going to have to think through. HOA fees, eat into affordability, that while they protect the integrity of the neighborhood and the design features we put in there, it's an additional cost. And how are we going to think through all this stuff? All things that we need to work through before we engage this developer and tell them what to do. And yeah, it's not just how many trees do you want in a neighborhood, but if there are real concerns and things that we have to address in order to make this a quality neighborhood, please. And that's exactly what this process is for. We want that feedback and engagement from you, because we do not want to recreate problems that you have seen in other areas. So please provide any feedback, good and bad. We're taking them all. Now, I will caution, this is if people are saying, look, we don't want this because we don't like the program of subsidized housing, or we don't think, we want to put more homes in this area, which we will take those into comment. If there's concerns about density or anything else, let us know that. And that's going to scope the design. But I will caution that, if you don't believe that, government should be subsidizing, down payment assistance, well, that's not the stuff we can necessarily help, because that's what this program is designed to help with. But everything else, we want to make sure we're capturing any thoughts or concerns that you have. So please let us know, either like right now, or feel free to put it on the social Pinpoint side.
And so in that regard, just one other last point, that's on the positive side, and that is that we recognize that there is a shortage of housing. Housing is going to be built somewhere, somehow. So I applaud you all for at least engaging the community to say, hey, give me your input, give me your ideas, and at least being willing to consider those, so that at the end, we can hopefully come up with a great product. Because at the end, there is going to be subsidized housing. There's going to be new housing built throughout the city. And so it's not a question of is it going to be built, it's how we can build it in a manner where it's a collaborative effort between you all, the city, the developer, and the citizens. So I give you kudos on that you started engaging us at the front end.
Absolutely. No, and thank you for participating in this. And this, it won't happen without your participation. So thank you as well.
Right, great. Thanks for wrapping up. Again, feel free to take your time to take the survey, and if you have more comments, feel free to send an email to us. And we will be having, I think, 2 more community meetings moving forward for the site. So we'll be posting the days and time on the website. Just yeah, check that. And we would like to see you next time. Again, thanks for your time tonight. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.